that. No heads were turned. Only our eyes swung round to the door, waiting for the entrance. She came in fast, tall and slim, in a red-gold dress with sparkles on it, the mouth smiling, the hand outstretched towards her hostess, and, my heavens, I must say she was a beauty. "Mildred, good evening. My dear Lady Turton, how nice." I believe we did stop talking then, and we turned and stared, and stood waiting quite meekly to be introduced, just like she might have been the Queen or a famous film star. But she was better looking than either of those. The hair was black, and to go with it she had one of those pale, oval, innocent 15th century Flemish faces, almost exactly a Madonna by Memling or Van Eyck. At least, that was the first impression. Later, when my turn came to shake hands, I got a closer look, and saw that, except for the outline and colouring, it wasn't really a Madonna at all. Far, far from it. The nostrils, for example, were very odd. Somehow more open, more flaring than any I had seen before, and excessively arched. This gave the whole nose a kind of open, snorting look that had something of the wild animal about it, the mustang. And the eyes, when I saw them close, were not wide and round the way the Madonna painters used to make them, but long and half-closed, half-smiling, half-sullen, and slightly vulgar, so that in one way and another they gave her a most delicately dissipated air. What's more, they didn't look at you directly. They came to you slowly, from over on one side, with a curious sliding motion that made me nervous. I tried to see their colour, thought it was pale grey, but couldn't be sure. Then she was led away across the room to meet other people. I stood watching her. She was clearly conscious of her success and of the way these Londoners were deferring to her. "Here I am," she seemed to be saying, "and I only came over a few years ago, but already I am richer and more powerful than any of you." There was a little prance of triumph in her walk. A few minutes later we went into dinner, and to my surprise I found myself seated on her ladyship's right. I presumed that our hostess had done this as a kindness to me, thinking I might pick up some material for the social column I write each day in the evening paper. I settled myself down, ready for an interesting meal, but the famous lady took no notice of me at all. She spent her time talking to the man on her left, the host, until at last, just as I was finishing my ice cream, she suddenly turned, reached over, picked up my place card, and read the name. Then, with that queer sliding motion of the eyes, she looked into my face. I smiled and made a little bow. She didn't smile back, but started shooting questions at me. Rather personal questions, job, age, family, things like that, in a peculiar lapping voice, and I found myself answering as best I could. During this inquisition came out, among other things, that I was a lover of painting and sculpture. "Then you should come down to the country sometime and see my husband's collection." She said it casually, merely as a form of conversation. But you must realize that in my job I cannot afford to lose an opportunity like this. "How kind of you, Lady Turton, but I'd simply love to. When shall I come?" Her head went up, and she hesitated, frowned, shrugged her shoulders, and then said, "Oh, I don't care. Any time." "How about this next weekend? Would that be all right?" The slow, narrow eyes rested a moment on mine, then travelled away. "I suppose so, if you wish. I don't care." And that was how, on the following Saturday afternoon, I came to be driving down to Wootton with my suitcase in the back of the car. You may think, perhaps, that I forced the invitation a bit, but I couldn't have got it any other way. And apart from the professional aspect, I personally wanted very much to see the house. As you know, Wootton is one of the truly great stone houses of the early English Renaissance. Like its sisters, Longleat, Woolerton and Montacute, it was built in the latter half of the 16th century, when, for the first time, a great man's house could be designed as a comfortable dwelling, not as a castle. And when a new group